are we surviving? Single parent, I got bills to pay. Where am I going? What is the next solution?
Happy Sunday, my friends. Welcome or welcome back to the channel. I'm sure by now you've heard about the Stabroek Market Beautification Project, initiated by the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development and the Ministry of Housing. While it seems like a great initiative on the face of it, you can begin to consider the potential impact on vendors that sell in the area, that very area that's being targeted for the upgrade. So that is our focus today. First, what is this beautification project anyway? We're told that there's a space in front of the Stabroek Market Square that is to be upgraded. It's going to be given a facelift, or more than a facelift. Based on the design that I saw, it seems to be an extensive project, even though the government is telling the vendors it will only take 2 weeks. We're going to see about that. We're going to see how long this project actually takes, because to me it looks like an intricate project which will take an extensive period of time. So generally speaking, the concept of this beautification project includes a raised floor, park benches, decorative features, and an area where artists can perform live shows. We also understand that a tall, huge Christmas tree will be set up there for the Christmas season. All of that sounds fantastic. Who doesn't like development? Who doesn't like progress? But it can come at a cost. Let's admit it can come at a cost. But to whose expense? The vendors or the government? Right now, it seems to be the vendors' expense. On the flip side of things, what this means is that current vendors in the area will be displaced, have been displaced already during the construction period, and they're not having it. They claim they were not notified ahead of time. Some vented frustration about the effects on their livelihood, while others say they feel betrayed by Minister Priya Manickchand, who they say came by, but allegedly failed to tell them what's up. So she wasn't being transparent, according to the vendors.
She come back about 2 weeks ago. She told us she billing stand. We said, okay, we not about a billing stand for organized we. I told her, I said, how I sell in front here, and I bring out me thing Christmas time, a lot of things to sell. She said, yes, bring it out, it won't be bothering her. And then this morning, you come it out and they'll notify we. The mayor did not know about it because I get onto the mayor. The constable, nobody know about it. You just come and operate a building this plywood around we accuse a prison with it.
Now, after taking a closer look at the happenings, it is my opinion that vendors are most upset over not being notified ahead of time about these things. The work to be done, how long it will take, being given a temporary or alternative solution that's favorable to them, one that prevents them from losing income, and perhaps more importantly, a solution that doesn't impact their ability to provide for their families. Where is the empathy here? One has to be able to put themselves in that person's shoe, in the shoes of the vendors, to understand how they would feel if they were the vendors who are now affected by this beautification project. It's one thing to have a developmental project, but it's another to consider how it will impact lives, the community, vendors, whoever. You're going to hear from more vendors, the government, and the mayor of Georgetown. You're going to hear what they have to say as they weigh in on this beautification project. I'm going to sound off on this right away and tell you that this seems to be a positive initiative, except in bold letters, the timing sucks. Yeah, the timing sucks. We're heading into the holidays, for crying out loud. Whose idea was this again? Manickchand? You're welcome to disagree with my take on this in the comment section. We can have a go at it. Go ahead. Any which way you look at this, you gotta side with the vendors. Perhaps especially if you look at it realistically and empathetically. And we're talking about as far as planning, timing, and execution go. The ministry denies that vendors will be displaced, pretty much calling it misinformation. Its officials say if vendors can hang in there for about 2 weeks or so, everything will go back to normal. No harm, no foul. Okay? We shall see about that. We shall see about that. I have a few questions. Does the ministry have any idea of the total number of vendors being affected? And by that I mean the total number of vendors who were displaced. If so, great. But does it have a list of the names and the prior locations of each vendor at the market square? Do they have this information? Does the ministry, does Priya Manickchand have this information? This very critical piece of information. If not, how will the authorities know which vendors are to be reinstated? Vendors and those opposing the move seem to think the project is being carried out in a haphazard manner. What are your thoughts so far? Tell me in the comment section. Maybe you're a vendor watching this video right now. Maybe it's one of your family members or a loved one or a friend that's being affected this moment as we speak. We haven't even started on some of the main problems vendors will face besides the obvious displacement. So let's kind of zoom in on the key problems that arise. One of the biggest problems is income profits for vendors. These are people who rely on business in that area for their daily livelihood and to take care of their families. And then there's the obvious elephant in the room, the timing. Show of hands if you think the timing sucks. Because I do. And I have no apology for that. Like, you have to decide, you have to consider the timing as a major factor. You just can't roll out of bed one day and say, oh, you know what? We're going to put a huge Christmas tree in front of the Stabroek Marketplace. It's going to look beautiful. People can come and take photographs, blah, 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 and forget that real lives are going to be affected. The months of November and December are typically two of the busiest months for sales as consumers prepare for the holidays. It goes without saying that this period is great for sellers who are hoping to maximize sales. Hey, I'm not a vendor. Let's hear from a vendor who is actually being affected right now.
It's very hurtful in my country. I feel comfortable anymore in this country. And before the move, my stand is they could give me a little ticket or something and just post me my family car. To move from vending, we family can suffer. I don't know what part to go put my hands right now to get another daily meal.
We don't even want for nothing, we don't give people a notice or nothing. That's what you coming in town for. What with me? You cannot be doing people this at Christmas time. We invest a lot of money out here. You cannot be doing this at Christmas time. This is totally wrong. You don't even say come January time, month or nothing, no, come Christmas time. This is totally wrong. Wrong.
The third key problem is this: the issue of displacing the vendors without notification. Was there consultation with the vendors? The answer to that question depends on who you ask. The vendors are saying no. The ministry is saying yes. Did the ministry suddenly begin work at the location without notifying the vendors who stood to be affected the most? Did the authorities consider the potential setback for vendors and held a meeting with the vendors where they could voice their concerns and the possible effects on their livelihood? Did this actually happen? Was such a consultation a part of this process? We must explore the issue from both sides, the vendors' side and the government side. What about the government? Priya Manickchand is the current Minister of Local Government and Regional Development. Her deputy permanent secretary within the Ministry of Local Government, Dr. Josh Kanai, spoke to the media. He defended the initiative and seeks to clear up the misunderstanding over the quote-unquote displacement of vendors.
The vendors are not to be displaced. The vendors are not to be hampered. These boards that are going upward to basically align the fence structure, which is merely about 3 to 3.5 feet tall. That's going to form a fence in this perimeter here, whereby it will be a transparent fence where the vendors can be seen. Vendors are going to be within selling.
Let's not forget, this is happening under the nose of the mayor and town council. Let's hear how the mayor feels about this situation. Overall, the mayor and town council welcomes the initiative, but there is concern for the livelihood of those who are being affected. Naturally so. In fact, Mayor Alfred Mentor seems to be saying that the authorities blindsided him, blindsided the council after doing something different than what was explained to him. Let's bring in Mentor.
Without notification is what I have a challenge in, and the timing at Christmas time to be able to have this done. I know the Christmas tree itself, I could understand that because it's Christmas time, but in relation to displacing a portion and not giving them a chance to be able to run. So what I'm trying now to do is to figure out the number of portions that will be affected and how we could accommodate them.
Mentor says he's ready to put his foot down and suspend work at the site if it comes to that. This could lead to clashes between the MNTC and the ministry carrying out the project. And they're not the only individuals who gave their opinions about this project and how it's affecting the vendors. I also saw something from Mahi Paul of the APNU. He had some interesting thoughts about the project and how it's impacting the lives of the vendors. We also learned that minibus operators are also being affected. They've complained of parking relocation, which they say is affecting their income as well. This is an ongoing situation, and I hope to bring you an update if we have something significant that comes up. So yes, I sounded off on this matter earlier on, but here is the final takeaway. When planning projects like these that can affect the livelihood of others, there must be a balancing act. The authorities must weigh the benefits and potential setbacks and risks and find a middle ground. They must find a middle ground. They must consider the needs of those who stand to be affected, which are the vendors in this situation. We're told the construction is expected to last no more than 2 weeks. Personally, I don't think it's going to last 2 weeks based on the design of this project and what they're trying to do. But they can prove me wrong. We're going to be watching the calendar and the clock that's up there at the Stabroek Market. But I digressed. If this is what must be sacrificed for vendors to have a better business experience, then some may argue that this is a reasonable ask by the ministry. Another thing that the authorities could consider is offering temporary financial relief to verified vendors that are affected, to vendors that they verify have been affected by this project. That's fair to me. It'll be a win-win situation for everybody. But you first have to know who are the vendors that were displaced. You have to have the names on a list. You have to have their ID information in order to verify who should benefit from any financial relief that's coming from the government to these vendors. Sometimes development can cause setbacks to citizens, whether it's having to relocate their homes for a major transportation route to be established, or in this case, having to move their stalls, which could lead to reduced sales during the construction period. If these are the necessary setbacks for development to occur, then that may be seen as a necessary evil. However, whoever feels it knows it. I'm not a vendor. You may not be a vendor. The vendors are the ones who can tell you for sure how they feel, how they're being affected. Hopefully, those that are impacted can be compensated for the loss of income, if any, during the construction timeframe.